Nick, tell me about the scene, the setting of when you walked into the same room together with all 5 original members. Where were you? When was it? And what was going on in your head?
Well, it first started when Simon and I were on tour with Warren on the Pop Trash tour, and the shows had been good, but it sort of felt as though it was reaching a natural end. And Simon was pretty unhappy at that time, and he confided in me and said, I think it's time to move on, Nick. And he said, what about thinking about the original lineup? And I thought about it and said, well, if everybody's in the right frame of mind, of course that would be amazing, but at that time we really weren't sure. Anyway, we went through Los Angeles and we went to lunch with John, and we sat at his house there and discussed things with him, and he seemed really vibrant and really positive and just very focused on the idea of doing it. And so that was encouraging. And he said, come on, let's get him on the phone now. Let's get Roger on the phone. Let's get Andy on the phone. And we tried to get them on the phone. Within 24 hours of that period, he'd successfully spoken to them, and they'd both said yes. So effectively, as long as everything worked out when we met, we had the band back together at that stage in 2000. We met up a few months after that in England, in St. John's Wood, where we sat around a table for the first time. And it was a little strange. But the one thing that I think hit all of us was the chemistry and the energy. We realized that it was quite a dynamic unit, and everybody was talking and exchanging ideas backwards and forwards, and within seconds we were in arguments about how are we going to do this, how's the album going to work, where are we going to do it, when are we going to do it, who's going to be there with this, who's going to look after the gear, what are we going to do about management, when are we going to go on tour, and I thought, this is just like, I walked in one door, went to get something, came back in through the other one from 1985. It was as if nothing had happened, because essentially everybody was the same. The idiosyncrasies had perhaps got a little greater. Everything had been amplified a bit more, which has good things and bad things about it. But I think we all knew then that something could work. And so some months later, instead of going to Wales, which was the original plan, I managed to derail that, and we went to Saint-Tropez instead. And everybody was really happy about it, because the sun was shining, we were in a place together. It's like the Big Brother house. Just the 5 of us, a cameraman, and our engineer, no one else. And that for 2 weeks was pretty daunting to actually all be there, but we plugged in, everybody came prepared, and everyone really wanted it to work. And that's how it became magical, because when we plugged in and started playing, it was just immediately, it was the sound of Duran Duran. It was, wow, this is how we used to do it. It had been so different for us for so many years, because we hadn't had a permanent drummer. And then without having a permanent bass player either, it became much different. I mean, the whole process was really hard, writing songs. Suddenly, here it was. These 5 guys playing together who all complemented each other perfectly. And I just felt, as I know everybody else did in the room, well, this sounds right.
Actually, the incredible thing that nobody had gone and become a classical musician or a jazz guitarist or, something weird. Everybody had kind of stayed in the same musical boundaries in a way. And we're all listening to the same stuff as well. We all have this wealth of old material that we drew on, because we all grew up on the same kind of music, but we're still listening to the same stuff and playing in the same way. So I think that's the most amazing thing about the reunion, that everybody was still on the same page and that we still understood how each other played,
And also, we were destined to make a modern record, because Duran Duran was always about being modern. It wasn't as if we would have said, oh no, let's try and make something like we did back then. It was all about, what have you been listening to? Oh, that's great. What about these grooves here? And we went out to some clubs whilst we were there in France, and came back with loads of new ideas and brought that straight to the music. And that's always how we did it.